All right, we are super live. Not real. Uh, this is I don't even know. I guess it's an episode of Corner of the Circle, hardcore edition, hardcore list. Got a grip of people on this bad boy. Hopefully everyone knows how to use this. Only Davey doesn't know how. If you don't know who Davey is, Davey's eating a sandwich right there. I tell you already, he's gonna be the problem child. So definitely off the hook because really Davey doesn't know what's going on. I was afraid of this. Anyways, long story short, this is gonna be a hardcore list, much like the emo list, screamo list that we made last week. We have a couple people that aren't on this thing that may end up being added a little bit later. But we have a pretty solid group. First up, we have Alyssa. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Do your thing.
I'm Alyssa. I'm from San Marcos, and my IG handle is SweetCheeks1019.
He said Sweet Cheeks. Get out of here. Next up, we have Ashton.
My name's Ashton Alexander, and my Instagram handle is Trashton, and I'm from the Seattle, Washington area.
What?
That money. Next up, after Ashton, we have Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine. I'm based out of Southern California. My Instagram handle is nom nom cookies. So it's 3 noms.
Nom nom.
Very well thought out.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get that last nom nom in there. Next up, we have the one, the only Mr. Davey.
What up, Davey? I'm from New Braunfels, Texas. IG handles Davlin25.
That was actually pretty good. I did not look at it. Well,
Rookie on it right
now. Next up, we have Josh Longoria. Josh, you're up.
Josh, from New Mexico, and my IG handle is Kia_Kaha66.
Kia Kaka. What is that? That's
he was waiting on that one.
We have like maybe the only one to actually follow directions at the jump, Mr. JP Price.
What's up, dog? JP Price out of Kansas City, Missouri. Finger guns. Out of Kansas City, Missouri. At JP Lifts _SBC.
JPSBC, the man, the myth, the legend. We have that's me. I'm LS. I'm from Texas. Say something. The IG handle is LS. There it is, McLean. There it is. You're welcome. We would have Paulo up next. It is what it is. He'll come in when he comes in. Last but not least, we have Mr. Rocky Molina.
What's up, y'all? Rocky from Texas. Hashtag handle Sism Rock. Sism is music spelled backwards. Just heads up for those of y'all that didn't know. Just throw that out there.
He's so clever, though. He's clever. All right, so we're gonna go down the line, man. Odds are this one, I don't know. I mean, there's not as obviously people don't have as many choices with these. Basically, the way that we did this was you were given what one, 2 hardcore, 1 post-hardcore, and then 1 metalcore, and you were given an extra just in case, but if you follow directions, you didn't need it. You had to think a little bit about it. Clearly, Davey didn't. It's fine. He used all of ours. It is what it is. It is what it is. So we're actually going to go down the line and just kind of talk about the ones that we had. And I will be Gucci from there. So first up, man, explaining what she had, the one she picked, we have Alyssa.
Okay. So for my 2 hardcore, I chose Knock Loose, All My Friends.
What?
Power Trip. Executioner's Tax. Sorry again. My 1 post-hardcore song, I picked Beartooth, Body Bags. For my metalcore, I picked Fit for a King, Slave to Nothing. And for my bonus, I picked Every Time I Die, Apocalypse Now and Then.
Bad.
This was really hard to do. I felt like I feel like everyone had a hard time doing it. It took a while to pick these, but the reason I picked, well, of course, like my hardcore ones. I'm not really, I don't know a lot of hardcore, but Power Trip was definitely my number one, just because I mean they're from Texas. Who doesn't like bands from Texas? But it was Knock Loose was like our first like hardcore show, so I figured that was like a good one to put in here, just because I mean, who doesn't like Knock Loose? I mean, if y'all do, it's okay, but just saying. But yeah, so but when I mean Power Trip I picked just because, like I said, they're from Texas, and then when that show, just being there at the show the first time I saw them, it was crazy. Bodies flying, Josh fell. I hurt my wrist. But you know, just like listening to Power, just that song in general, just when you hear it, it's just like you have that like smug look on your face, like, yeah, like, you know, let's go boys, let's fuck shit up, you know. So I mean that one always gets me. Right. And then for the post-hardcore, that was hard too for me. I chose Beartooth just because that was like what kind of got me into the hardcore scene, I guess you could say. Right. When the first time we saw them was at South by, and it was, to me, it was pretty hardcore. We saw them in the street in like this random tent, and bodies were flying everywhere, like literally on stage, and to this song. People were like grabbing the mic, like singing, and I'm like, what the heck is happening? Like, what are we doing here? So to me, that just like what started off from there. That's what it was. Paper King, same thing. We saw them at Warped Tour, and I was just like, okay, whatever. But then I had to ride Rocky's Jeep for a while. Forgot what happened. But anyways, the CD was in there for a while. But Slave to Nothing is just, if you haven't heard it, it's a good one. I mean, it's on the playlist, so you can hear it now. But you know, it just gets But sorry.
She's awful now. That first one, she's like, this one, she's like,
I know, I'm like, I'm gonna be prepared this time. I got my notes. I'm not gonna look like a fool. But no, just going back to like a lot of these songs, I noticed too that they're all like, as much as I hate to say this, catchy. Because I don't like to describe a song as catchy, but I noticed a lot of the songs I do like, I like to sing to them, even though I'm not the greatest at singing. But I mean, these I can all sing and, you know, bang your head to. And then of course I picked Every Time I Die just because everyone could use a little bit of Eat It in their life.
Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, sorry.
No, I'm with it. You already know. I mean, you already know if it's like Knock Loose on at home, like, yo. Like, I think the hardest thing for me to do, this list was not to make everything Knock Loose. I'm like, I mean, don't they fit every category? I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, you know, it was just cool. Like, cause like I said, like, I mean, with Power Trip, I was there. Knock Loose, I was there. You know what I mean? So I mean, and just like, I think anybody that has an opportunity to go to South by Southwest, I mean, they're so, I mean, we've been to so many hardcore shows at this point. I mean, just the whole, Wrecking Crew at this point. We've been to so many hardcore shows that, like, I mean, the venues are dope and everything, but I thought like this was gonna be the year that we got to go to South by. Like, bro, we're about to murder everybody. Yeah. Somebody was about to get left home in a body bag, like, and then actually. So I think like whenever you have an opportunity to be introduced to a band with like at a festival like South by with that type of energy, man, it's a different level. Especially if they're like not a main stager, because they I feel like all the non-main stages, they go so hard, and then the people that follow them, like their cult following, they go twice as hard. I mean, like, and it's different at South by because like people go just a little bit harder. They're not like, I mean, no knock on Austin, but like you already know, like the Austin hardcore scene is just like booty, dude. So like, just what I mean, they don't want to throw them things, so it's just like whatever, you know what I mean? Like Davey knows I talk about, like, man, why did we even? We just, but yeah, man, those are man. I was ready to fight someone just because no one wanted to fight. You know what I mean? It was bad. It was bad, but we had a good one-on-one. We got to, you know what I'm saying? We got to meet everybody because there's only like 5 people there. That was trash. Anyways, moving on. My bad. Next up, Ashton, gonna talk about her list. All right, you're up.
Okay, so for my 2 legit hardcore songs, I picked Dangers, We Have More Sense Than Lies, and Rotting Out, End of the Road. And Dangers was like a band that I remember going and seeing like in high school. We have a festival out here that's called Rainfest, and before it got really big, it was kind of close to where I lived. And Dangers was usually like the headliner on the last night, and that was like my first stage dive, and I got really hurt, and it was awesome. And then Rotting Out, End of the Road, I really like that song. And then I remember I was talking to Walter about it, and he was telling me like just kind of some of the meaning behind it. And no, I really, really like it, I guess, just because, I don't know, it gave me like a little bit more of a connection to it.
Right.
And then for my post-hardcore song, I mean, Brand New technically falls under the post-hardcore category, but
Yeah.
like I remember like listening to Brand New, and I feel like all their albums are really different. Like each album is distinctly different, except for like you can tell it's them, but it definitely is. Anyways, when the Devil and God are raging inside of me, is that what that album's called? Anyways, when that one came out, I remember I didn't like any songs on it except for Vices. In the beginning, it was like some, I don't know, like European, like, I don't know, it's some weird song, and then it goes into the breakdown, and it's really good. Anyways, for the metalcore song, I picked Earth Crisis Firestorm. I know it's like their most popular song. I'm not really. This is probably gonna get me in trouble, but I'm not a huge metalhead. But so I don't know if like metalcore has never really been my gig, but I do like Earth Crisis, and they put on a damn good show. And then for the last one, for the bonus, I said suicidal tendencies institutionalized for obvious reasons.
What's up? Like the Rotting Out. Well, I thought Rotting Out pretty heavy. Suicidal tendencies. I mean, come on now, you can't go wrong with them. Bro, when you said European, you know who I just forgot that no one put? Come on, you get one guess.
Me?
Rocky, you know who I do it.
No, not me. I don't know.
We missed the one European spot that we forgot that no one put him on here.
Architect?
For metalcore,
I can't believe I missed the
I
Architect.
was actually sad that we didn't have more of that.
But it was
Somebody
like
put Architects, but it might have gotten taken off.
Architects or volumes.
I almost put
volumes, yeah, like
I almost did.
Man, we missed out, bro. I cannot believe
We were limited. If we weren't
I
limited,
literally just got into Architect like months ago.
Yeah, like
into what?
Architect.
I literally just got into Architects months ago because I remembered I had saved a playlist in Spotify of Bryce from Canada.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
From like a year and a half ago when he shared one, and it had a bunch of Architects in it. Like, and I messaged him, and he was like, "Yeah, I fuck with this band," and he sent me the Architects, and then I just remembered a couple months ago and started listening to him again, and it was great. I freaking love it.
JP, if you can go watch those fools at a show, oh my god,
yeah,
man, they put on a show, my guy. They put on a show.
I'll watch out when it opens back up.
Dude's vocals are ridiculous live, so he can hold that note is insane.
Dude, his highs are higher than high. Those lows, his growl is now like, bro, this dude sounds better live than he does in studio. And I'm not just saying this. There's a few, singers out there that sound better live than they do in studio, and he's definitely one of them. And then when you like, find out the meaning, especially behind, that not this current album, but the last album they put out, dude, I didn't know any of the meaning behind it. And then when you find out the meaning behind it, like, yo, like this dude is geez, he's singing from pain. You know what I mean? Like, I'm losing my brain. Literally singing his dying brother's lyrics that his dying brother's writing about himself. Like, you kidding me?
It's wild.
Yo, it just, you know what I mean? And it was weird because like
the last track he did.
It was the last track he did. You know what I mean? Like the crazy. I think the crazy thing was like I didn't really know much about him. I assumed they were putting on a show, right? And I remember like Rocky was like to my right, and like we're watching them and everything. And I'm looking. I'm like, yo, like when they obviously when the Architects crowd came out. I mean, because they were the headliners. When their crowd came out, it was obviously it was a different type. It was a different type of crowd for sure. But like all these people start crying. I'm like, why are they crying? I'm like, what's the deal behind it? And like, David,
bro, I'm guilty, man. I'm guilty. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I've been listening to that band for ages, dude, since the Hollow Crown days. You know, I even got them tatted on my shoulder, you know, that kind of thing, bro. They have like such a good like crowd response. And like the music, like the meanings behind their music, bro, is just intense, dude. I love that band, and it's crazy because like I was gonna put them on this list too, but you know, we were talking more hardcore kind of stuff, and my extra one that I put on, I'll explain later, but it was just kind of I was jamming out to it at the same time when I was making the list. So, but Architects definitely belongs on this list.
Yeah, that for sure. They might have to. You know, I tell you what we'll do. We'll do another list later. It'll be called Top Set Music. Just all top set songs.
Hell yeah.
Everybody will get 5 top sets. That's gotta happen. Doesn't matter what it is, it's just your top set go to. Everyone has got like at least 4 or 5 they go to. I do want to go back to Ashton and talk about Firestorm. Is there a particular reason behind like Firestorm that you chose that one over any of the other Earth Crisis songs?
I remember when I saw them at one of the festivals out here. I don't remember which one. And it was the only song that I knew the lyrics to, so that's it.
Listen, like I mean, I'm guilty of it. Like, I'll put a song if I know the words. I mean, because you can't really swag out on people if you don't know the words. You'll be sitting there just saying balloon, balloon, balloon the whole time, like
just moving your mouth.
You just know when they get to the yelling part.
It's funny. It's funny because like I'm the person I'm like at the back of the show. I don't care about like I like to listen to bands, and I'm not gonna like figure out who's on the bill and figure out all their songs. So be that kid. I'm just gonna go up and get hype for the band that I came for, and then experience the rest of it. But I hate I get claustrophobic in crowds, so like it's got to be worth it for me to get in there and like have all these bodies touching me and stuff, and getting passed around, and
That's back, dog.
well, okay, like now I would be fine, but back then I was like 110 pounds soaking wet, so I was getting the shit beat out of me at every show. Like,
you're like 120 pounds soaking wet.
125, thank you very much.
With my boots.
And then I can just whip people with it, and it looks like an action, but it
got a straight up mane, dude. It's ridiculous.
I need to get on that level.
Jeez, I'm like, Christine reminds me of Crystal Gale, dog. With the long
compliment.
Man,
I did a cartwheel at this one show, and I think I kicked a lot of people in the face, but it was like right at the end of a set, so I was the last person like leaving the pit, and I was doing a cartwheel.
I don't have the balls to leave my feet. I'm like, I gotta mow somebody down.
Oh, this was when I was a lot dumber.
The lead singer from Full Blown Chaos, his name is Ray. And Ray Mazzola is a good friend, and one time we were at a show in like this weird metal bar, and there's all metal bands and then Full Blown Chaos, and that's what I was there to see. And Ray and I had partied pretty hard that night together, and I did a cartwheel on the front of the stage and kicked him in the nuts. That was definitely an accident. So much
body to cartwheel with, dude.
Yeah, I'm nimble. I'm nimble as fuck, dog.
I'm like, bro, like if I see this big motherfucker getting on the stage and die, I'm like, first of all, stop. Second of all, let's think about this. Who's gonna catch you? Not I.
I do realize my number one worth is like as a bass and cheerleading. So I'm the guy that gets on a knee so somebody else can get on stage.
Thank you very much. I feel like my size is where you top out. Anything bigger than 215, 220, like you're gonna hit the ground. I hit the ground so many freaking times.
It's a little disrespectful.
I just remember that whenever like there's certain bands that when they play, like Dangers was notorious for this. Like it would be a mountain of people around, like you couldn't even see the lead singer, and it was just like bodies, like a pile of bodies. And I was always like trying to
I
climb
call
to
that
the
World War Z, dog. That's World War Z.
It's so good.
That's that World War Z right there.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, next up, my bad. You get into it. We have Christine. Listen, Christine's got a nice little list, boy. A nice crispy list.
I'm proud of it.
You're up. You're up.
All right. So I mean, we're gonna get a little weird here. So I chose Hard Bark on the Family Tree from Have Heart. First of all, that's a really important track to me. Not just musically, but lyrically. It has a lot of oh, by the way, I apologize in advance. Sorry if you hear dogs. I have a lot of dogs in the room right now. But yeah, so it has it covers, actually that whole album covers a lot of issues with like family dynamic, you know, the feeling of not being able to relate to a healthy family dynamic. I have like a lot of addiction and alcoholism and like trauma inside my own family. So hearing songs like that, especially when I was younger, was like really relatable to me. Super good song, super heavy. The group vocals in it are awesome. And like, if you ever had a chance to see this song performed live, it is just crazy. I think actually they opened up the last show I went to, they opened up the set with it, and it was really dope. And then the second one I chose was Life Force from Mindset. And it was between this one and Leave No Doubt. Both of those both those songs, but also again, the entire record was something that I really related to. On like a slightly lighter note, it was more empowering for me because a lot of the songs, especially the one I chose, was like, you know, you have every excuse or every reason to give up on something, but it's almost like this insatiable competitive drive that keeps you from giving up, because you're just like, no, I want to see where I can go, and I know that it's easy and that I can give up, but I'm not going to, you know. So yeah, so those are my two like hardcore. It was really hard to choose. I feel a little bit weird that almost all of the groups that I have are from the East Coast. I definitely feel like there's so many really good West Coast hardcore bands that need their own spotlight. But
yeah, but I will say this. I mean, in your defense, dude, East Coast hardcore, it hits a little different. Like West Coast hardcore, West Coast hardcore, like East Coast hardcore, like it's dark, dude. It's like dark and dank. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a different style of hardcore.
Matches the climate.
Yeah, I mean, but like, you know what I mean? But then you start talking West Coast, like I feel like West Coast hardcore, it makes you want to just hop in the pit. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least for me, like when you see like West Coast hardcore, like, yo, let's get in this pit. Let's just let's go throw these things. Yeah, like, but then like when you hear East Coast hardcore, you're like, bro, like you almost have to sit down. You know what I mean? Like
no,
you have to sit down. You sit down, you listen to it. You know what I mean? Like you're more, I mean. No, and again, I'm not knocking the lyrical content. I mean, it's just a style. But like East Coast, you sit and you listen to the lyrics a little bit deeper than you do the West Coast stuff. West Coast stuff, I feel like it's always a little bit more catchy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like once you get past that, at least in my opinion, once you get past, you know, Texas and start working your way west, like anything from like, you know, Texas East. You know what I mean? It starts getting a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, but then we like anything like west of Texas, like you start getting like a lot of catchy, a lot of, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of like less.
Right. But I mean,
you know what I mean?
On the West Coast, you also have groups like Chain of Strength, you have Inside Out, Rotting Out, obviously. You know, like a lot, Downpresser is really good, you know, Criminal Instinct. Yeah. These are groups that are super good. They're a little bit newer though. And there are some other really good hardcore bands that come out of the West Coast. And like, I feel like if you ask people from out here, they're all going to say LA hardcore is the best or whatever. But like,
calm down. Calm it.
it does hit different though. It's a lot more skate punk, I find, like a lot more punk rock, which is really cool, and it suits a certain purpose. But especially for me, like as a kid when I got into hardcore to begin with, it was very much about like not just anger, because I mean I was a frustrated kid. I wouldn't really call myself like an angry kid though. So a lot of it had to do with heavy lyrical content was something that would hook me on certain groups, and like that's why another reason Have Heart is super close to my heart, and like everything that he comes out with, I just think Pat Flynn is such an amazing lyricist. And then okay, so for I kind of like I resent that I had to choose a metalcore song, but I did choose Suicide Note in Braille by Martyr AD, and I know that's probably not a group that not a lot of my friends knew about. I really liked them. Like they only had a couple of records like early 2000s, but I think they were super, super overlooked. They're really talented. The reason I chose that song in particular, not because it had a super like meaningful message, it's actually pretty dark, but the breakdowns in that song are just crazy.
Otherworldly.
They are crazy. Like I remember the first time I heard that song and I was like, what the am I listening to? the last 30 seconds of that song, it's like it's a style of metalcore that you don't see in a lot of groups now. It's like a different type of heavy. It's really just raw, and like the breakdown at the end has its own breakdown. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really good. But so I chose that song. And then for the post hardcore, I chose Weed Pin by Drug Church. Also a super cool band. They're not really emo kind of post hardcore. They're a lot more, they have more punk vibes. And that song is super cool. And that group is cool because they kind of cover like political themes, like tongue in cheek, kind of satirical stuff. And that song it's kind of funny, but it's sad at the same time. It's like a kid who he's giving it a shot. You know, he's got his first real job and he just fucks everything up super royally. And he just kind of like throws his hands in the air and he's like, well, what am I doing with my life? Like, I can't get anything right. How am I supposed to find a career? Blah, blah, blah. And it's at the end, it's more about not just doing what's expected of you from society, parents, or anything else, like just doing what you love to do, you know, not just trying to fit into a nice pair of dress shoes. So yeah. Oh, and then I had the extra one, which was Memory Lane by Blacklisted. And this is a group that I was more recently introduced to by a very close friend. But the record, well, it's actually an EP, was from like early 2000s, called Peace on Earth, War on Stage. And this song is another song that immediately I really connected to because it's about like kind of like looking for your identity, but being kind of lost. And so you're wearing these masks and you're trying to like present yourself to people, and people are telling you that you know you've lost your way and you need to figure your shit out. And it's like, well, where do I start? Like I never knew where to start. How am I supposed to get there? So another really good song. That whole EP is really amazing. If you get a chance to listen to it.
You got some bangers, man. Like, oof. Oh, man, I keep looking at Memory Lane. For some reason, Memory Lane is the one that keeps sticking out to me by Blacklist. Like they have a lot. It's weird saying they have a lot of bangers. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just they have a lot of. I want to say they have very complete albums.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like if you couldn't pick Memory Lane, what would have been another song from Blacklisted that you probably would have picked?
Ooh.
I mean, they have a few. I mean, I don't know, man. That's God. Blacklisted has a bunch.
I feel like that
But it's like-
song. That song is probably. Oh, Our Apartment Is Always Empty is another super good track. A little more angry. It's yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I definitely listen to like, you know, more of the punch into open air and, you know, don't talk
Yeah.
to your mom kind of vibes, but I feel like I always end up going back to a lot of the more heavy content and stuff. And yeah,
Right.
yeah, they're definitely one of my. It was one of those groups that I was surprised that I had not really listened to them very much in the past.
Right.
But I'm really glad that I was introduced to them. So
Yeah, dude, like those. I really, God, man, you listen to the lyrics. I'm like, what can I beat somebody up in? Like,
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like,
it's the
yo.
best when you can get both, you know. And I think it was just because of the time that I got into hardcore. It means a lot from like how I started. So I think that's why I pay attention a little bit more than the average person.
I'm with you on that. I want to go to Davey, but Davey's like 1,000. Boy, you know, and we were giving Christina all kind of crap because she had like 20 songs, and here Davey, when he saw us making fun of her, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna follow it up. I'm gonna do the same thing."
Had to one up there. I had to try. I'm just gonna do the 5 that, you know, that I started off with first. The other ones were kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I was like, wait, I should probably chill out because I'll probably add like 3 albums.
He really did though, bro. I'm like, you know what? We low key should like, all right, you can't speak on anything that you have a tattoo of about that guy.
Well, there goes my whole list. There goes my whole list.
The whole list is gone. All right. So David, you're up, bro. Go ahead.
All right, man. So I got a couple here. I start off with Sworn Enemy, As Real as It Gets. That track, actually, I got into Sworn Enemy because that track was on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And no joke, dude, that song was just hitting heavy. I was like, bro, who is this? Looked into it up, and then after that, I've been kind of like a Sworn Enemy fan ever since. That one, and then I had All for Revenge, Terror. As much as I love East Coast, I love West Coast hardcore, and Terror is just, bro.
Terror is West Coast hardcore to its core, dude.
Yeah, when people say LA hardcore, it's basically Terror, bro. That's hands down. Like
they set the bar, guy. They set the bar, guy.
Yeah, they set it high, bro, and no one's been able to catch up to them on the West Coast side. Because me personally, I just think Terror, hands down, those guys just definitely know how to get a crowd riled up, how to play the music, and just keep going with it no matter what. Like I remember, I think we all went, or I think it was me and Rocky. We went to go see Terror at was it Backstage Live, and they put us in the small stage, and that place was just more ridiculous than I've ever seen it. You know, to where I said, screw it, man, let's get on stage and let's start pulling out some 360 shallow dives on top of the crowd and just having some fun. You know, that kind of thing. So also my other hardcore song I want to throw it in there just because I'm a huge fan of it, is Sick of It All. I put Step Down. My buddy actually introduced me to that maybe back in like 2008, 2009. And I remember like the music video to it. And it was just like 50, 60 style in a TV, and seeing like, you know, that generation kind of just, you know, get heavy with it. You know, them being the East Coast, you know, hardcore, you know, band as well. I mean, they're just super dope. But I guess my knowledge on, you know, super heavy hardcore is not as high as everyone else, but I definitely know enough to get by and know how to jam out and, you know, be able to get invited to this group to kind of, you know, share a playlist kind of thing. So my post-hardcore, you already know it. I put the Disconnect by Counterparts. Canadian underrated band, bro. We all know this.
Chill out. First of all, they're not that underrated. Calm down, my guy.
They're
underrated. In Austin, they're not that underrated. Relax over there.
Hey, this last September, I really wanted to see Varials, and they were playing with Counterparts in Lawrence, Kansas. And they had two bands in the middle that I'd never heard of and I didn't give a shit about. It was like Being as an Ocean and guys who talked a lot of like spoken word and cried. And so the first band was Varials on the lead singer's birthday, and they fucking ripped. And then there were these two bands that had like hour-long sets of them talking over keyboards. And then I stayed. I almost left because my back hurt and stuff. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I stayed for Counterparts, and they ripped. I fucking loved it. It was great. I loved it. It got me in love with the song Monument, and I thought they fucking went super hard. I loved it. They had great energy.
Man, listen, Counterparts is bro. They are another level. That I've tried to see them a couple times, or I tried to see them the first time, like in like Rocky, Alyssa, Davey. They were already at the concert when I got there late. So by the time I got there, Counterparts, they were like they from their and it was from the last, not this latest album, from the last album. They had already finished their. I heard their like final song, and when I was walking in, that was it. I was so pissed. So I didn't get a chance to see them, and then they were coming back to Austin after they dropped their newest album, and which, in my opinion, I mean, I don't know if it's better than the one before, but dude, I didn't expect this album to be as good as it was. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing left to love. Yeah, it's a good one, man.
Yeah, maybe about it a lot. We talked about it the whole drive.
Yeah, we did.
The whole drive. I just wasn't expecting Counterparts to have. It was a good album, but I didn't expect it to be that good. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, I mean, from the first song bleeds to the second bleeds to the third. I'm like, dude, it just, I mean, I think it was the production value.
Yeah.
The production value was like on a higher level, I think, man. It was just, I mean, and then when we went to the concert, JP, you'll appreciate this. Dude pretty much talked to us like we were just his homeboys, because there weren't a lot of people there.
No.
It was just, you know what I mean? And so, like, you couldn't even like really like make a pit. Like, there wasn't enough people for a pit. I used to see this Davey flying around, just hitting people like here and there, like hitting people in the kidney, hitting people in the back, and like it was kind of, bro.
I was literally grabbing people and throwing them across. You got a picture of it, put on your Instagram.
Yeah, grabbing, like, why are you grabbing dude and like banging them into your chest? Play. Let them watch this. Let them watch the show.
Dude, that's what I loved about Burials is like they were the first band, and the show was small, and most of the people were there to see some guy do poetry, and that dude ripped and challenged everybody and got in their face, and like the fucking place started to move, and that's really hard to do as the opening band, and I really loved it. But then I went and saw Harm's Way with Spite.
Yeah,
they're so good live.
And Spite played first, and they talked shit on the crowd the whole set. And then the dude from Harm's Way came up and fucking saved it because he's a champion. But I'll never like that band again.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. What was that band, Rocky? What was that was it Stick to Your Guns? Was that
the one where he was just talking away?
Yeah, that was during the Architect show. Because like the dude was just on the soapbox the entire time. They're like, okay, keep it moving. Like, let's go, next song. And just like, listen to me for a second. And we're just like, like.
Bro, I remember I was like, bro, I'm going to the bathroom because if I don't go to the bathroom, I'm gonna yell at this dude. Like, I don't even. And I was like, oh, bro, Stick Your Guns is so dope. They're so dope. Trevor was at that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was actually looking forward to them too, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I've seen them a couple of times, like Warped or whatever, you know. They put on a decent show, but just something about that one, the vibe was just off. I'm like, this is just boring right now. I was like, this is terrible.
What pissed me off was that Trevor was hyping him up so hard, like, bro, no, Stick to Your Guns. I'm like, word, Trevor? Like, for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, our buddy Trevor, like, either he's like all about it or he's not. You know what I'm saying? There's no in between from the time I've known him. And so I'm like, bro, these dudes must be dope. And like they played like maybe like 5 minutes. He's like, you know, guys, so I'm still thinking about this upcoming election. I'm like, oh my God. And it just killed me the whole time. I'm like, all right, man, I gotta go. I'm like, Rocky, I'll be back. I gotta go to the bathroom.
There's
like, I just like had to walk around.
Like
Say
like
what?
it has to be it has to be appropriately timed. Like if
Yeah,
everybody's been all hyped up for a couple of songs and everyone's taking a breather and you say a couple words, it's one thing. But if it's like
This dude
Oh,
was
was it-
literally
Heard of the
every
set basically just
Counterpart. It was Counterpart, Stick to Your Guns, and then that's who it was.
It was Terror.
Nah. Remember, Terror was with the Terror show. It was Jesus Peace, Terror, and Knock Loose.
were they
I
on the
thought,
Knock
I
Loose
thought
tour
Stick
that
to Your
you
Guns
were-
would Knock
that
Loose.
you went to last year?
Huh?
Were they on the Knock Loose tour that
Which
you went
one?
to last
this was
year?
like a year or two ago.
Yeah, this is like a while ago. This is
No,
when.
I meant like the more recent Knock Loose tour you went to. I wasn't sure if they were part of that because they
Oh
came here.
no, that Knock Loose show that I went to the last time, that was a Christmas Burns Radio. That was a special show, a very special show.
Special.
Yeah, I saw Knock Loose with Stick to Your Guns last year.
Yeah, dude, I was
Super
not
underwhelming
impressed with
to me,
them, dude.
to be
And
honest.
I'm saying right now, I'll kind of like you said, JP, I will never like that band again. And they honestly, they could be putting out some heat, and I will never like them again. That dude, literally, I tasted butt crack after he got off the stage. I'm never gonna like them again. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Davey, I do want to ask you about Parkway Drive, dog.
Parkway Drive, bro. The hardcore Aussies, man. They are just the heaviest, I guess, just metal band in general. Who they are, man. I mean, if you watch like their documentaries and stuff, like, I mean, I've always been a huge Parkway Drive fan forever.
Yep.
You know, but like even after that, like because I remember like I actually just posted on my Facebook the other day about like was it the other day that my favorite album from them is was it Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em? I mean, so, you know, and my all-time favorite song, Romance is Dead, and obviously I got a tattoo on it on my arm. But anyways, I after watching like their documentaries, man, and like just showing like how they came up, you know, playing in a little middle school, you know, on a stage, and then playing in their, you know, in their garage, and then coming up to where they are now, and them changing their full-blown style, and when that came out, you know, we all had conversations about it. We're like, you know, or if they're changing the, you know, their sound a little bit, you know, is it going to sound too like anthem-y and, you know, just more sing-along, or are they going to stay, you know, still heavy and that kind of thing, you know? And at first everyone had that backlash, you know, on it, but like I guess as it progressed and people, you know, saw it live, and, you know, they saw, you know, the feedback from it, like it was kind of there's one of the things you could just get into, like, man, you know, after you hear it for a while, it's like they haven't changed.
I think that's what saves a lot of bands, especially if you're trying to change your identity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like low key, like they have to see that energy. They have to see the performance. I mean, that's being 100. Like that's how the especially these hardcore bands, because they're not really big budget bands. You know what I'm saying? They're not like you know these Billboard, you know, top 5 bands like that are making millions on millions. I mean, they're making cheese, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? They're not just getting mad money to fold. Like, because honestly, let's be 100. If I'm gonna say this because I can. Because there's only one other Aussie band that I can think of that tried to change their identity, go a little bit harder, and then they try to go a little bit pop. Silverchair, I said it, and look what happened to them. I said what I said. You know what I mean? Like they could have easily gone the way of listeners laughing at me, but it's the truth, bro.
It's true.
Like, Silverchair, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Like I mean, it's about the performance. At the end of the day, like you can be the dopest studio album band on earth, but if your performance is trash, it's a wrap for you. You're not gonna make it in the hard.
No, yeah, you ain't gonna make it.
Like you said, I'm still talking trash about a band that like they probably are so dope, and I'm never gonna give them a chance again. But I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, hardcore is hardcore. You know what I mean? Like. We want what we want. I mean, you have a few elements. If you don't check those boxes when you're at a concert, bro, you're gonna lose.
Honestly,
Everybody's
you sound
bar,
like
dog.
garbage on stage. If you've got good presence, that's all that matters. People are there to get angry and to let off some steam and to have some fun. Like I've seen bands when I went to so every year in LA they do For the Children, which is like this huge toy drive, and it's like a 2-day thing. A bunch of hardcore bands get together. We had like a bunch of super old school guys this last time. Tara's not that, but like Donnybrook and Disembodied and stuff like that. A lot of guys got back together and they played it in this venue that wasn't really a venue because it was the only thing they could find that was like cheap or free.
Right.
So the sound was garbage for everything. You could barely hear anything, but it was such a good vibe still because everyone was just having fun. Like, I can't imagine if Stick to Your Guns was there giving some soap opera speech while everyone's just like, yo.
Bro, like, I honestly feel like, I mean, I'm glad I don't drink because I feel like if I were a drinker, that would be the time I would have thrown a bottle. I know I would have thrown a bottle.
I'm glad at a lot of hardcore shows you have so many straight edge kids because the only thing I don't like about the like mashup shows where it's like hardcore bands and like more metalcore kind of like Acacia Strain type things, it's like you get a lot of people that are just drinking and being assholes, and not that everyone that drinks is an asshole, but you know what I mean. Usually,
you get those
the more metalcore they are, the more beer.
You got a bunch of babies running around trying to start fights.
The more like of just a pure hardcore show it is, the more you're just gonna get kids that want to just be kids and not punch each other in the face for no reason. So
yeah, man. Like I'm just like, man, I can't even. Oh, dude, I can't. I don't know why I'm so angry every time I think about that show because it could have been. This is one thing I will say, and I'm willing to. I'll stand behind this to the day that I die. I thank God that those people came up, and he got on the soapbox the way he did because he took the energy and just dropped the hoe like as low as it could go. So then when counterparts, well, not with counterparts, but when architects came up, bro, it was just like you got nowhere else to go but up. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm just like, man. I mean, I just went from like to like all these lights, shit flashing everywhere, man. And I just remember like that first song, and it's so stupid because like every time like I have a reaction, I'm always looking at Rocky. I'm like, oh shit! It's every time. I would say today, but dude, if we go to a show, and this is God's honest truth, if we go to a show ever, dude, Davey is as soon as we walk in, he's gone.
Gone.
You know what I'm saying? And then like Trevor's like right after, like Trevor's gone, like where's Waldo? You know what I mean? Like they're always gone, and then
he's trying to find his glasses.
Yeah, Trevor usually comes back with like a piece of his glasses missing, or
like Rain Man with the fork in his ear,
Yeah, man. Like,
sorry, yeah, me, I'm a mosh pit boy, man. I like to get down and dirty and just live in there for the whole night. That's my experience. That's how I like to experience shows.
I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about
the time when I get in the pit, everybody leaves. Then I'm back to standing at LS.
Yeah, no one wants to throw a rock, dude. It's just so fun. Like he'll get challenged every now and again. The guy's like, "Good job," pat him on the back and keep on rolling. But we'll talk about
one circle pit. Everybody's gone.
We're gonna talk about pit stories for sure. Next up we got the young star. We got Josh. Josh Longoria coming up. He's gonna give his list. All right, Josh, you're on, bro.
Hey, can y'all hear me? I don't know if these headphones are working or not.
Yeah, they're working.
Good.
You're good.
Bet. All right, so my list, I got Power Trip, Crucifixion. I picked that song because that was my first hardcore show that LS, Rocky, and them took me to. That was my first stage dive where nobody caught me whatsoever, and I ended up getting my thumb. I ended up getting my thumb stepped on and dislocated my thumb. So that was pretty cool. So that was a song from that set. So that'll hold a special place in my heart just because of that. The other song I have is Knock Loose, Oblivion's Peak. That's probably the intro to that song is probably my favorite intro to any song. Like just the way that it builds and just gets your heart pumping and stuff. And Knock Loose is one of those bands that I haven't got to see live yet, but it's definitely on that bucket list of bands that I need to see like soon.
You could have.
We could have. That was a long drive though, so I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
We had the opportunity to see him at the beginning of May, but of course, fucking Corona. Okay, those are my two hardcore. So my post hardcore, I picked Attack Attack, The Abduction. The reason why I picked Attack Attack is because when I in 2013 when I lived in Houston a little bit, that was going to be the first show that I was going to go to, and my parents actually got me those tickets for my birthday, and I was so hyped to go, but then I ended up getting sick, and yeah, I was pissed. So that's why I picked them. Just the old Attack Attack sound is just something I really vibe with because not so more not some more their new shit when they try to do that whole electric fucking metal crap. But their old stuff, like their first two albums, those were definitely the move.
Nothing hits harder than the people's elbow, dog. Nothing hits harder. The people's elbow. Go ahead, say something. Give me a reason. Give me a reason.
No, I agree with you. Huh? Fisticuffs. All right, and for my metalcore, I picked Fit for a King, Youth/Division. Fit for a King is definitely my top metalcore band. That's definitely definitely one of the first metalcore bands that I saw live, and I've seen them I think a total of 4 times now. Like every time they come into town, I try to make it a point to go see them. And Youth/Division is one of those we can chalk it up to the top set songs. That's always like my go-to top set, because that song, the breakdown in that song and just the whole vibe of it is whole different. That whole Dark Skies album, like, I mean, you look on my phone and out of like the whole 200 or 300 songs I have on my phone and just my playlist for metal, hardcore, all that stuff, I think I have like pretty much every Fit for a King song from every album on there, just because that's just my band. For my fifth song, I put Poverty of Self from Currents, just because I am a huge fan of the vocalist that's in that band. That dude, he can carry a note, and just the ranges that he has with his screams and his growls and shit is just, especially in that song, it's a little bit heavier than their usual shit. Yeah, that song Poverty of Self is definitely a lot heavier than their usual stuff. They're a little bit more of the kind of like Fit for a King metalcore vibe, but that Poverty of Self is more heavy and has more darker shit in it. But just the way that, like I said, just the range that he has on his vocals is just fucking insane. So yeah, that's my list.
Oh man, you already know we got to talk about that Currents, my guy. Bro, I'm with you on that. I mean, that was one of the bands that was at the Christmas Burns Red, and I remember I messaged you, Rocky. I'm like, bro, there's this band that's up. I think it's like, I don't know the name, like Currents, and John's like, oh yeah, dude, they're so good. They're so good. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah, because we saw them on Alyssa's birthday. They were at Austin at Come and Take It. We saw them with Fit for a King, Norma Jean, and then I want to say, what was the other one? They was Left Behind or something like that. I don't know.
Why don't I remember them?
That was when you showed up late and got your camera and started taking pictures of Norma Jean and Fit for a King.
Oh yeah, because the wheelchair girl came
Yeah.
The wheelchair up the butt, Josh.
Yeah.
Fuck that lady, man.
That's why I didn't like, because I never heard of, man. We were getting murdered by the wheelchair girl.
Oh yeah, like that whole show. I felt bad because I only really knew one song from Current, so I didn't really get to take advantage of like seeing them live. But then just after that show, they definitely became one of my top 5 bands just because of that vocalist and their drummer also. The shit that he does is pretty dope. But definitely, they were definitely also on the list of people I wanted to see again for when they came back to town. They were supposed to come to town with Silent Planet. And I was gonna go to that show, and that show was gonna be crazy. But yeah.
Oh, that was that one that it was all of them, and it was just them, or what was the one that had Knock Loose on it too? Was that
that was the one
show?
with that was the Motionless in White. And
yeah.
You're
right.
No, the Currents one was gonna be Currents, Left Behind, or something like that. I don't know.
I can't say this because we always make fun of you. Josh has been to shows before, but the Power Trip the Power Trip show was the first one he decided to get in the heat with the people. You know what I mean? So that was a good show. That was a very good show. High key, he wasn't even gonna go. Swear, JP, he was not gonna go.
I called him last minute and said we were going. I was like, hey, let's go.
We had to pressure that dude into going, man. So I can promise you, Ashton's probably gone through more pits than Josh has. I'm
that's not a lie.
Josh
they told me they were like, hey, go ahead.
Josh will pay an extra $20 to go to the VIP.
Oh my God, it was one show, and it was because my date wanted to go to the VIP. It was one show.
First of all, if you taking the date to the hardcore show, she better get ready to get in the shit, baby. That's all I'm saying.
If your date wants to go to the VIP, it's not your date, it's our date.
That was not my choice.
Man.
But no, yeah, like that Power Trip show, when Rocky called me, I think I laid in bed for like 10 minutes. I was like, if you go, you're going to have fun. But I don't know. Nah, fuck it, let's go. And then I just got up and told Rocky.
Didn't go, Ellis will call you out anyways.
Very true. And then I saw Alyssa stage dive twice, and I was like, you know what, man? Fuck this. I'm gonna try it. Let's see what happens. I was like, what's the worst that could possibly happen? As soon as I get up there, I get to the stage, and these two little ass dudes, like maybe they were like shorter than Rocky, were standing there. They're like, hey man, you want to get up? I was like, yeah, man. They tried. God bless their souls. They tried to help me up on that stage, and they just kept pushing like fat and just like body parts. And I was like, you know what? I was like, get out the way. Let me just climb up. I'll get up. And then I got up there and I spit for like a split second. I was like, oh shit, I'm up here. What do I do? Oh shit, let's jump. And I jumped off and just straight to the ground. Not even any kind of no resistance, none whatsoever. Like I didn't feel any drag. I didn't feel any love. I just felt straight hardwood floor.
Hey man, welcome to it. You got baptized in the funk, sir. Good job.
And then some dude wearing some, I don't know what the fuck he was wearing, stepped on my thumb. I got out of the show and like I think for like a week later, my thumb was just like fucked up. Like it was bad. And then come to find out that hoe was dislocated. I was like, oh well, all right, well, price of the show, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we took my sister, her boyfriend came, like they stared at us the whole time. They didn't even want to move, like, oh my gosh. She's like, y'all are crazy. I'm like, I told you. Like, it is what it is. These old grown ass men running around, jumping in the pit, throwing these things. It is what it is. I'm not gonna grow up.
I missed that show too. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
Baby, you've been flaking on a lot of shows, my guy.
The last two, bro. Last
Called
two.
out.
I went to the last two. What's going on?
Anyways, moving on. We have the man, the myth, the legend, the biggest stage diver pound for pound, Mr. JP Price, hitting us. You're up, brother.
The bigger you are, the more you have to ease into the crowd off the stage because I don't trust them and they don't trust me coming off. You gotta
they die.
Put your hand on some heads and faces and ease off the stage.
I gotta say, like, I remember being in the front and seeing like a dude about your size come to the front, and I was like, I was like finding a way out because I was like, I'm not gonna get crushed.
You just get
abort. And that's what I told LS. Like after I did it, I was like, hey man, I saw a video of JP doing it. If that dude can jump, I can jump. We'll be fine. Turns out that was not the case. So
JP has technique. JP jumps and sprawls. Josh jumped in.
I like to only stand in one place in the pit and one place only, and it's on the side on the left because like my back's all jacked up, so I got to be in the right spot, braced. Like I'll get involved for like 2 songs a show, but I'm always in one spot because I get just a little action, you know.
Yeah,
like,
very strategic.
Just a little action from right there on the side, and that's my spot right there. So the safest spot is like right to my left. So my list, hardcore bands. First one I chose was Bane, My Therapy. I mean, almost all these songs are songs that I lift to, and lifting's a huge part of my life. And Bane, My Therapy, and like hearing that through the music and how he expresses it through the music was how I would feel that I was expressing it in my lifting. And like I felt like our energies were like real similar in some moments, you know. And I've also seen Bane like 6 times. I'm wearing Bane socks right now because when you're a 3XL, that's like what you can buy, you know. Either they have like XL champion shorts or you can get Bane socks, you know. Like that's
Bane socks.
Except Madball because they've got like fat guys in the band, so like sometimes they'll have 3XL. So Bane, love that song, love them. I think that they have a ton of songs I could have chose.
True.
Also, it's like some of my best friends in the scene, some of their favorite bands too. So like they have some of the best show memories. I was at their farewell show. So and then Bitter End, Conversations with Death. I just chose this band to be different because I want more people to hear this band. And that's a song that like goes back and forth on a conversation with a guy and who's supposed to be death. And when the singers bounce off each other, the energy rises, and I feel that when I listen to it when I lift. And I freaking love that song in the back and forth, and it freaking builds. I like songs that really, really build and, you know, have like a story. And especially if I really am into the lyrics, you know. For post-hardcore, I chose Glassjaw, Siberian Kiss. When I was in high school, I drove a 1972 Challenger that was brown, and we brought it up in the last show. I would blare this song in that car, and I would listen to this song before every football game, every wrestling match. It was one that I listened to all the time. It's really, really intense, has a ton of emotion, and that would whip me into a fucking frenzy. For metalcore, I chose Norma Jean, Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste. That like fake breakdown in the middle of that song, in the middle of the breakdown is killer, and people wouldn't be expecting it, and then they would get hit by like a Mack truck in the pit with it, depending on who was around. And so I love that song. That was a really good one. That would like never not be on a list. Hey, if anybody follows me in the gym, Bear, the gym dog, is just leaving. So see you later, buddy. I love you. So yeah, that one is huge for me. And then for my personal choice, I chose Boundaries, Pain Medicine. I don't know if any of you guys know who Boundaries is. They're pretty new, and they don't have a lot out, but they have this album they released. They're supposed to be putting out a new album they recorded in November. So look for more of them. But they've only toured a little bit. I think they're from the Northeast. And they're like really, really, really dark and really emotional, and their writing's really deep. And I've been injured for a couple years now with my back, and it's just like seems like there's no end. And the lyrics in Pain Medicine are just some of the like harder lyrics that I've heard in a long time that like hit me hard. And my favorite part of it, it says, "Pain, my only motivation. I'm working towards nothing. I feel like I'm fucking dying. No one knows that I'm here, and no one will knows when I'm gone." And the song rips. And man, that one of my clients, who's a hardcore kid, an edge guy out of Indy, him and his best friend, I trained them, and they're two of my best buddies, Lewis and Jake. They've came and visited, and there was no shows when they visited. They came, and like the only show of the weekend was Dashboard Confessional. And sorry, I didn't go, Alyssa.
They vindicated.
But they actually send me music a lot because they're hardcore heads, and they sent me that, and it's like some of the best stuff I've heard in years that I really hit me really hard. And so I'm really thankful that I have people that send me stuff like that, so I can find new things like that.
I will ask you this, because you were on the last. You're the one when we did the emo. You know what I mean? And it's funny that, I mean, you had some really good emo picks for sure. You know what I mean? But you know, you kind of told your story as to why you like them and everything else. But like it's weird, not necessarily weird, but it's just, you know, it's kind of, I think we kind of talked about it a little bit as far as just, you know, how hardcore is. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like you said, they're an East Coast band, but it seems like you have a lot more emotional investment in your hardcore music than you say like with emo, which normally would be the thing that you have more emotional investment into. I guess it's not really a question, more of an observation. It's just, I mean, I feel like, you know, with just because lifting is such a big part of your life, number one, and number two, you know, because it's such an emotional and personal thing. I guess my question would be probably is that a reason why you have so much more emotional investment tied in to this particular genre of music than like you say anything else?
I think that like you find things that match your intensities and your personal style. Yeah. And I like to dance. I like two-step, and I love the intensity and the aggression of the hardcore. And you know, in the same way that like, you know, Ashton might like relate to being into punk more, you know, or like things that are in like more of a thrash style or something, you know, like we're like, I love the really super tailored beats of, you know, two-step. And, you know, and the intensity of like a really clean, tight riff. And it can be like really, really hardcore, but can also be produced super well. And like, you know, it drives me nuts when podcasts have really bad audio, just like it drives me nuts when good hardcore has bad audio.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of what shapes a lot of the decisions and choices I made in those.
I'm not mad at that.
I feel like it's an outlet too, you know, it's like you get all of the hard elements in terms of the music and you get the aggression and everything, but then a lot of hardcore groups speak about real issues because a lot of these people started as those kids that were dealing with shit at home, you know, maybe they had abusive parents or they grew up on the streets or, you know, whatever it is. It's like they use that music as an outlet and they channel that into the song, like the lyrics they write, the style of the music. So I feel like it relates to a lot of people, but especially a lot of lifters too, because sometimes we use lifting as a way to channel our feelings and our aggressions and stuff. So when you can find that in a certain genre of music, that I think hardcore does better than almost any of those harder genres personally. But I don't know, I'm partially biased.
Yeah, Christine tends to love her hardcore a little bit more than the average person, for sure. I think we all do.
Well, I just think like it's hard. I feel like a lot of things, it's really, really hard for me to feel like it matches my intensity.
Yeah.
And like I always think there's a mood for every kind of music. And for me, like I always joke that I don't like country, but I just never feel like I have that intensity inside my inner clock. Yeah. And but I just really, really mesh with hardcore, you know, in that way. And so like you know, it just vibes really, really well with my intensity and where I go when there's a switch that's flipped and that kind of thing. And it's just something that really pumps me up. And the atmosphere, like, you know, you'll see me in the gym if I'm feeling good, you know, like you could be like, oh shit, you like really would like to be in a circle right now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I like drop kick somebody if they're not excited to be there. Like, you know, like the disrespectful front chest kick, the Loyota Machida.
That's Davey. Davey's like, that's me. That's me all over.
Like, get excited to be at the gym. You get to be here, and then I get really motivational.
Oh, and then you like turn it to some like motivational track. I go with Goldberg. That's mine. That's my track now. It's my track. Don't hate, y'all. I hate them. Don't hate. They designed the L. They designed the L. All right, I'll try to knock mine out really quick. My first hardcore it's Jesus Piece. At first I had the full album only stuff because it's this whole album's really fire. And it flows pretty well. But Lucid, it's literally the first track. It pretty much sets the tone for the album. And JP, I know we talked a little bit about it last time. And obviously some of you guys were there too when we talked about it. For me, my thing has always been seeing people that look like me, seeing skin that looks like mine. Like that's always been a huge thing for me, especially, you know, growing up in West Texas where you didn't see a lot of diversity. Two, I was always one of those kids that black kids don't skate. Black kids don't listen to rock and roll. Black kids don't do this. You don't do that. You don't do this. So when you see, you know, when you're able to see people that look like you do something that you've always wanted to do. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to think that someone, you know, that at least 90% of the people out there at some point in time would love to have been a star of some sort, a rock star, or, you know, or some type of person standing on stage, you know, singing their heart out, yelling their heart out, playing whatever instrument, just having someone sing your song. I just, you know what I mean? Like expressing what you expressed. So for me, like a lot of these, especially as weird as it sounds, man, like, I mean, for me, seeing a lot of these, like these young black kids out here just killing it, it's like I'm living vicariously through them, if that makes any sense. The first time I saw Jesus Piece is when I was going to a concert with Rocky. Rocky, those guys, it was one of the first concerts we all went to together. And I remember I walked in I heard the sound before I saw the face, and I was like, "What is this?" It was just gutter, dude. It didn't like the production value was like okay. It was just heavy. It was dank. It was like semi-dark, and it was just like, yo, either they pretty much just took whatever they do in the garage and they just put it on stage. Bro, it was just so nasty. And like I kind of make my way through the crowd, get on that left side, and I say, like, oh, it's a black dude. What? And so I kind of inch my way closer and closer, man. And I was like mesmerized from the first time I ever heard him, like to present day, man. And it's definitely, Lucid is definitely it's top set music for me. The second one, again, it's along those same lines. Obviously, don't look like me, but Billy No Mates, Knock Loose. You can ask these guys if I'm training, if I'm doing anything and I want to get hyped. Like I don't even have to ask for the song; they know exactly the song to go to, without a doubt. Billy No Mates. Knock Loose is one of those. Like I saw them, I heard them, but I didn't believe what I heard when I saw him, if that made any sense. I was just kind of mesmerized. And again, I mean, it's happened so many times at this point in our friendship. I looked at Rock, I'm like, who the fuck is this? I mean, like, and I mean, I can honestly tell you if you were there and you saw me see Knock Loose for the first, you saw me fall in love with the band, like immediately. It wasn't a ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like my favorite band as soon as I heard them. And like, I don't know, I think it was just between all the just the room, the energy in the room. Like I just remember like, I'm like, dude, San Antonio goes so hard. I just remember like, bro, they're going hard right now. And it just, I don't know, man. Like I can honestly talk about Knock Loose from sun up to sundown, man. But I fell in love with that band. Like, I mean, I had a meet coming up. I was like semi-hurt already. Worlds was coming up. One day I think I was getting ready to go to Worlds or something. I don't know. Something was coming up. And I'm like, bro, I'm already kind of hurt. I'm going off the stage anyway. Me and Lisa, like, we're going. Like I have so many memories of like my friendship actually strengthened with these guys. And Knock Loose is such a big part of that. So not only does it really remind me of just fall in love with the band, it reminds me of my friends. You know what I mean? So when I hear it, I think about my friends. I think about the Wrecking Crew that we call ourselves. So like Knock Loose is they're very, very important to me. So for my post-hardcore, I went with 31 by Soul Glow. Not a lot of people listen to Soul Glow. Not a lot of people know who Soul Glow is. But like I talked about, seeing people that look like me, and honestly doing something that I feel like I may have been able to do that. Because I think I've always wanted to be in a hardcore band. I think everyone, if you listen to hardcore, you always imagine yourself being in a hardcore band. But I know I don't have a scream. I know that. I know I don't have a growl. I know that. But I know that I can yell into a microphone. You know what I mean? And I know that I can pop out lyrics. I know I can surround myself with some amazing musicians that are going to make me look like a freaking baller. Then I know I can engage people. And that's exactly what Soul Glow does, except he can do everything. I just think they're ridiculous. I think they're absolutely ridiculous. So I'm a huge fan of them. I'm a huge fan of what they bring to the table. And I'm a huge fan of just how they get the crowd going. They're on my bucket list of bands that I really want to see. I just feel like it. I feel they'll be amazing when I have an opportunity to see them. And so for my metalcore, I went with Mariana's Trench, August Burns Red. I had to do that. Like I had to do that. Like, there's so many bands you chose. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Part of me, I almost reached back and got One Arm Scissor because it's metalcore to the T. But I had to go with Mariana's Trench, man. Like again, August Burns Red is if I had a second favorite band, second favorite hardcore band, it would be ABR, dude. I mean, I've seen them more times, than I care to admit over a 2-year span. If the doors are open and they're there, I'm gonna be there. If the doors are open and my friends can be there, we're gonna be there. So and it's a lot. There's a lot of bands that that you run into that you have a connection to, a tie to, and in both Knock Loose and ABR, I feel like I just have like these like great ties into them, and so I just I don't know. Again, that's another band that reminds me of my friends. It reminds me of like the Wrecking Crew. It reminds me of going out and just killing it. And we've had some dope times going and watch ABR. We've had some dope times watching a lot of these bands. So like with me, with hardcore, the whole hardcore thing kind of tying in what you're saying, JP, like with me, my intensities aren't necessarily so much just lifting. I guess my intensities are just emotion and the people that are around me. And so for me, hardcore reminds me of the majority of my friends that I have. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So while it's I'm not as emo about emo music as I am about hardcore. I'll cry from a hardcore song more so than I will an emo song, just because I think about my friends. You know what I mean? Like, I cried a little bit at the Knock Loose concert because I was at the concert and my people couldn't be there with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm throwing bows and knocking people out like, yo, this is how Rocky would do it. You know what I mean? So like, I think for me, I mean, I'm always going to be a huge Counterpart fan because Counterparts reminds me of Davey. I'm always going to be, you know what I'm saying, a huge Power Trip because Power Trip reminds me of Rocky. Like the bands that I like the most are the ones that my friends really like the most. You know what I'm saying? So
you can tell they're all from like a certain time of your life because they're all brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
the Argus Burns Red.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so, but my honorable mention is, of course, it's a Black Flag. That's my honorable mention. I went with Depression from Black Flag. And for me, anybody that knows me knows how I'm about music. I don't feel like the present can exist without the past. I feel like there's roots, and everyone's got to honor the roots, man. And if you go back and you listen to Black Flag, if you listen to Bad Brains, you listen to a lot of these old school hardcore, from late 70s, early 80s, that really kind of laid the groundwork for hardcore music, man. The sound was gritty. The sound was, it was as good as they could get it, but the engineering was trash. The quality was trash, but you got the emotion behind it. You got the grind and grittiness behind it. And I mean, it almost comes from like almost a gutter hardcore punk, more so than anything, but that is hardcore. And I think a lot of people, they hear the hardcore we have nowadays. I'm like, yo, this is hardcore. This is a version of hardcore, but the OG hardcore that we, that we know, or should say the OG hardcore that this all derived from, man, it derived from, somebody's like, yo, the Ramones are dope, but I think I can make mine a little bit harder. You know what I mean? Like, freaking, the Ramones, they hit here and they hit there, but I feel like I can make mine a little bit more grinder. I can grind mine a little bit more. And so you start getting bands like Black Flag. Black Flag is, because you don't necessarily get to hear them a lot unless you dig in the crates. And, you don't necessarily dig in crates anymore, but unless you dig in the crates and really listen, bro, they laid some tracks down and they laid some groundwork. And you listen to a lot of these breakdowns and a lot of when people are circling, and you can go back and listen to Black Flag like, yo, that's where that breakdown came from. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't dig in the past, man, you'll never know where your present came from at all. And so for me, like Black Flag, I mean, I had to make an honorable mention, just based off of everything that I had. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there would be no hardcore if Black Flag didn't exist. It wouldn't be the hardcore we know right now if it had Black Flag not exist. So that's what I got on that. I'll shut up on that. I'm gonna let Rocky cap this bad boy off.
Me? It's me?
Me? Yeah, man. Rocky. We got Rocky capping things off here. It's all you, brother.
All right. Again, just like everybody else, this was a struggle of a list. I think before you set the parameters, I was just already going through just strictly hardcore songs. I think it was already at like 4 hardcore songs, and I was just like, wait, damn it, this just got that much more difficult now. Rewind, let's put a little bit more effort into it now. So it's like, this is tough. Honorable mentions for hardcore that I had before I made my final list for this. I had Madball, Lionheart, and Kubla Khan. Those dudes, especially Madball's huge for me. The Spanish part when they did like Con Fuerza is like one of my favorite songs. Just implementing Spanish into that song, into the hardcore nature, super badass. You don't really hear it too much, but it's one of my favorite songs. But anyways, going to the actual list. For hardcore, I had Terror. Terror is huge for me.
Mhm.
Seen these dudes, I don't know how many times. Scott Vogel was just amazing frontman. Overcome is probably my top song from them, just because, like I said, I've seen them numerous times, and I also listen to them a lot because I had, again, one of those old sample CDs back in the day, DVD.
Yeah, man.
Overcome was the song, and he's just like, oh, in your face, everybody's skating like Stru, like you said, Davey said, LA hardcore, skate hardcore, just a lot of fun, super short song, super fast song, just in your face,
Love it.
get to the point, let's do it, let's hit it, fun song. That breakdown in it is one of my favorites too. Like I said, Scott Vogel to me is an amazing frontman. He's always up there, and he's like, you know what? Like they said about hardcore, just it's just fun seeing them let you go up there and take the mic. Like, this is your mic. Scott always says that. This is your mic. Come and take it. Sing your song. Have fun. And it just tears up there for me. Next, I had a Comeback Kid. I got into them because of the song Wake the Dead, but then I heard Do Yourself a Favor, and that song just hit for me. Just, he's like, that breakdown towards the middle, he's like, what you say, what you say? It's just like, oh shit, like it's going down. You just want to punch somebody. Just, I was like, yeah. And I was lucky enough, like when she got to see Beartooth, I didn't randomly catch him, but I walked into like a tent in the alleyway at South by and saw them for free, and just seeing them live for free was just dope. And it's such a small setting, and just everybody just flipping off the stage. Come get the mic again. It just went nuts, man. It's just a nuts show. Like you said, hardcore just has that vibe, just a different vibe when you go see it live. And it's just awesome. It's just fun to see, and just that outlet is just really cool. Again, post-hardcore, moving on to that, was super hard to pick from because I feel like we covered a lot of that with the last podcast and the emo podcast. But the Bled always stood out to me. Saw them numerous times again on Warped Tour. I feel like not a lot of people know the Bled unless you know them. Like know them. I know they're not really around much anymore, but this song, okay, but here's how it really happened. Insane song. Just, it catches you from the beginning. Like you hear that drum beat, you hear the guitar come in, then all of a sudden you hear that bass slap, and you're like, what's about to happen? If you have not heard that song, listen to it right away. Trust me, it's in your face. I remember seeing these dudes live on Warped, and they were just as crazy as the Chariot on stage, just all over, guitars just swinging everywhere, singers on his back, just
that is a name I have not heard in a long time.
Yeah, like the Blood was up there with them, like as far as stage presence, just nuts on stage, just crazy, insane, lots
The Last
of fun.
American Cowboy. They have a song called "The Last American Cowboy" that I freaking love.
Yeah, and it's funny because I couldn't remember the name of this song, but whenever I heard it, I knew the song right away. But it just it took me a while to find it because I knew it just from that intro, and I was just like, this song is nuts. Metalcore was super hard for me. I have a lot of ties into metalcore. I love metalcore. Kind of what really got me going to where I am now, I guess you could say. It was tough because the two bands I was really torn between was As I Lay Dying, who I ended up picking, and Killswitch Engage. Those two for me were like the pioneers for metalcore, and it was just super, super tough. But I went with As I Lay Dying because I'll never forget when I first heard them, and this album was, I just randomly walked into a Target. I was like, I'm just looking for some new music. And I saw this album. I thought the logo of the album was super, super cool. Bought it, put it into my old school 91 Chevy Blazer. And this song, just Meaning and Tragedy, was the first track off the album. And then all of a sudden it's just like, what am I listening to? And it hit. And I was like, damn. I was like, okay, this is how we're going. I'm just driving, cruising. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I thought it was like the coolest song or the coolest intro for an album. And it just never slowed down for that album. And so Meaning and Tragedy was super, super cool for me, and just it hit, you know?
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to catch both them and Killswitch that year because it was 2005, and that was my very first Ozfest. I saw them there, and it was amazing. And then moving on, I actually did two bonuses because it was super hard. Sorry, I know.
I was the only one.
Hey, at least I only picked one extra, not like 5, baby. But yeah, I went with Power Trip, Soul Sacrifice. Power Trip is one of those bands within the last 5 years or so. It's just huge for me. Just one of the greatest bands I've seen live within the past 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Just like I said, good old Texas boys, grimy, gritty, in your face. This song, especially the intro, just it builds and builds and builds, and you got it such heavy in the front. You just see everybody just kind of nodding and just like banging their head, just getting ready, and then people are already kind of slam dancing to it. But then it hits into that riff, and the next thing you know, everybody's just circle pit, circle pit, circle pit. It's crazy to see Power Trip how they are, because I feel like they're a universal band between like hardcore, thrash, metal, you name it. They can fit all the genres, play with anybody, keep up with anybody, and still throw down just as hard, and if not harder, than some of these bands out there today and stuff like that. Just it's crazy how they span across it all. Just it's insane. And like I said, I've gotten a couple of Black Eye Cut Eye, y'all seen too from them, so it makes it even more worth it for me. Like I've got blood through this band, like legit. So last one, just because it's hard to do this list without E-Tid for me. E-Tid I've been following for years and years and years again. But Roman Holiday always sticks out to me. Just that intro riff from Andy on the guitar, just very heavy, very grimy, just in your face. And I feel like that griminess doesn't slow down throughout this song. It's just a very heavy song from start to finish. And to me, has one of the greatest lyrics of all time in that, where he's like, "We are the death of the party. We are the life of the funeral." Like, something about that lyric just stands out and just hits. And you're just like, ooh, I felt that. Like, it's just badass to me. So definitely a top set song.
Oh, man. Ooh, get some heat on that thing. I was gonna talk trash. I really was about to call you out. I'm like, man, I was only dying, dog. But like, I can't be like, I can't be mad. I mean, I'm kind of mad. You know what I'm saying? It's between them and Kill Switch. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, dog. I can't even be mad. I can, but I can't.
It was a tough situation for that one between the two bands.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be hard just because, like I said, like, I mean, I don't even know why I set the rules that way. I'm like, I just want to see, like, I mean, really, like, because you got to dig. I'm like, all right, I got to dig deep and find
you really
some
had to think
like,
it through and really just put it out there. And just,
you can't be super crazy.
Take your time more with it instead of just adding a bunch of bands.
Yeah, man. Like, you know what I mean? I think JP put it earlier, like, I think it was like, I'm going to go by feeling with this or something like that. And I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, what impacts me emotionally more with these songs, you know what I mean? But I mean, there's so many good ones. Like we were just kind of talking about, like, obviously, there's so many that they could have been on this list. I mean, but I think it's like what we have is a solid list, and we still have more that are being added as we speak. But I mean, like I said, I mean, dude, there's some good ones out there. That I mean, I don't know, man. Like I keep thinking, like as you guys are like talking, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about this one. Oh, and I forgot about that one. But I mean, this is a list. Like, I mean, I think when we post it up, people are like, oh, I forgot about them, or oh, I didn't think about them. You know what I mean? Because there's not a lot of stuff that's like, oh, this is like a lot of mainstream stuff. You know, I mean, and the thing is, like, how can you have a hardcore list and not have Terror? You know what I mean? Like that's asinine. That there's no way that you should ever have a hardcore list without them. But there's no such thing as a hardcore list without having East Coast and, you know what I mean, and LA hardcore. That just doesn't exist. But here's the thing, though. I don't believe, and maybe I'm just partial to it, I don't believe that you can have a hardcore playlist and not have, you know, you can't have a Texas band in there. That makes no sense. Like, if you don't have, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, again, that's just me. You know what I mean? But if you don't have, you know, at least one Texas band in there, I mean, because you can't really, you know, I thought about, well, does Pantera even count as hardcore, or is that still metal? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think they count as hardcore. I feel like there's just not a lot of hardcore bands that are from, you know, more like central US. Like, not to say that they're bad, but it's just not as which is interesting though, because especially in San Antonio, in Texas in general, the hardcore scene is huge.
It's
There's so many
huge.
that's how I got
think,
into it originally, because there's so many hardcore kids in San Antonio.
I will say this. I feel like there's a lot of hardcore bands, you know, here in Texas. It's just that I've noticed it with Texas. Texas is, it's kind of its own thing. Like, to be honest with you. So there's a lot of hardcore bands around here, but it's just Texas hardcore. And you can be a Texas hardcore band and circulate all throughout Texas and never have to leave the state, and you can eat off of that. Now, you may not be eating a lot, but you can eat off that. I mean, you see a lot with like Texas country artists. Like, they literally circulate just around Texas because there's enough cities, there's enough clubs, there's enough downtown, there's enough freaking colleges, there's enough hole-in-one spots that you could go to each one of these, you know what I mean, make $500-$600 every time, and you and your people can eat off of that. Because again, I mean, the thing I've noticed with musicians, like, bro, you're doing something you love and you're making money off of it, however minuscule that dollar amount is, you'll do that till the day you die. Unless tell somebody, hey man, you need to get a job, you need to pay some bills. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, it's the truth. So like with Texas, I mean, there's a lot of hardcore bands. I mean, there's a lot of garage bands and stuff like that. There's a lot of, you know, underground hardcore bands that definitely do, you know, have their own sound, have their own thing, and have their own way of doing it. But, you know, I mean, you only get a few that actually crack through and actually like, hey man, we actually have a, you know, more of a following than a lot of these bands have. Like, I mean, and you're gonna get that with you know, with these bigger bands, like not necessarily these big bands, but you know, with bands like well, shit, there's really only one that we keep going to over and over and over, but there's just not a lot of bands like Power Trip. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a reason why that one band is the one that everyone goes to every single time, because they do put on a show, they do shut it down, and you know, like, you're gonna be hard pressed. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're gonna be hard pressed to go behind a band like Power Trip and upstage them. It's not, if they're not closing the show, then it's pointless. Like, if they open, there's gonna be at least my experience, if Power Trip goes up before another band, I'm telling you right now, that other band better be on fire, because you're gonna lose. It's the truth. You're gonna lose. Like, they're gonna burn the building down. You know what I mean? Especially if it's an SA. Oh, it's a wrap.
Bro, that's a hard act to follow as a Power Trip show. Like,
yeah,
to
follow. So like,
I almost put Kublai Khan on for my personal choice.
Ooh.
And because they've had so much that's hit so hard, and it's been so good in the gym, and it's been so hot. And but I just like vibed more personally with Boundaries, like in the lyrics.
Yeah.
Because the lead singer of Kublai Khan is so personal in his lyrics and so obvious that it can be hard to relate to if you don't come from that background.
Yeah, I'm with that.
And but I've met him. Like, he's super cool in person. Like, he is like super chill and relaxed and like easy to vibe with. And I really love their show, and they did an amazing job. And but it was just one of those things where I just related a little bit more towards the other music a little bit.
I feel you. Question. This is across the board. What's one show you want to go to right now? Like, if you could go to a show right now, like, who would you want to go to?
All of them.
Yeah, right now, all of them, that's for sure. No, I want to go to that Furnace Fest.
Oh, yeah. I want to go to that too.
Yeah.
So Furnace Fest in Birmingham, Alabama, I think it is in September. And it's like 100 bands that, like, none of them are together anymore.
Oh, that would be dope.
But like, all the bands that are playing that are together are like Counterparts, Terror. But then bands that like haven't been together, like Stretch Armstrong, are playing.
Yeah.
Evergreen Paris. I mean, the list is like 60 deep of bands I want to see, and like 20 that I haven't ever seen, like Comeback Kid.
Oh, Comeback Kid would be dope to watch.
Comeback Kid, dope live.
Like Every Time I Die is playing. Like, I mean, there's some throwback stuff that I haven't heard in 15 years.
I don't know, man. I still
ABR.
see. I hardcore.
ABR.
That's still bucket list, man. I still want to go. I want to see this hardcore. I feel like that would be the dopest festival to go to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
There's so many.
I still want to see Rage Against the Machine. I've never seen them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Bulls on Parade was my PR song for my career.
Yo, he needs to come back and start making hardcore again because his
Yes.
one
Yeah.
one record that he
Yeah.
put out is so goddamn good.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, he's good in Rage, but it's like night and day. He's like made for hardcore. I feel like I was kind of lucky because I got to go to the Acacia Strain Rotting Out show right before everything shut down in LA. So I got like a little bit out of my system first half of the year, but I have tickets to a bunch of other shows that I can't go to because they keep getting like pushed back with the virus.
Man, don't even get me started. I spent a small fortune on tickets and they're never gonna come to fruition.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, man. I will say this. Okay, I'll ask one more question because I feel like this is always fun. It's always fun to find out. What's one band that surprised you that they were as hard as they were? I mean, I know who I would say. Man, I mean, just because I'm a fan.
I mean, for me, like Counterparts is one of them.
Am I the only person who doesn't really like fuck with Counterparts? I feel like I am. I that's like the one part I can't relate to you guys on.
You don't. Oh my god! You know what? Each his own.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I got
Baby's
a
like,
if you want to hear it.
You know what?
I will say probably the most fun I've had at a show, seeing like people's like ears kind of perk up, is when we went to the ABR show in Silverstein Open Forum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these fools didn't. I mean, again, I'm a Silverstein fan, like, you know, through and through. I mean, and you know, I've kind of known how hard they've been over the years. And they've just gotten a little bit harder and harder. They, you know, one of those bands that's kind of been able to slowly but surely reinvent themselves. And like I think I told Davey, like, Counterparts is dope and everything, but I mean, they're just Silverstein a little bit harder. That's all it is. And it's true. They still have that Canadian sound. Am I lying right now? They have that Canadian sound still. But with Silverstein, they opened ABR. And here's the thing, bro. Like, with Silverstein traditionally being the type of band they are, I'm like, yo, this is a gamble because either you're going to keep this alive or you're going to lose and get booed. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, it's Austin, bro. The Austin crowd is they're just booty, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the people that were getting locked off the show were the San Antonio people anyway. So, like, something comes, they start going in, bro. And, like, I remember looking over and listening, like, oh, like, yo, I would. My bad. And, like, they had we did a little wall of death. I'm like, yo, Silverstein did a wall of death. So Rocky couldn't move because Rocky's all messed up. So like Rocky's just
I forgot about that.
Hey, but I still handled a couple of punks in that show.
yeah, bro. It was so funny because I remember JP, you would die laughing because I remember I looked over.
I heard my adductor.
They're getting ready to have a wall of death. I look over and obviously Davey's to my right, and these two kids like across the way doing this, like, come on, bring it on. I'm like, clearly they don't know what's about to happen. As soon as he says go, we both freaking take off. I just remember I looked over and like Davey has this look on his face like, I'm about to kill all these hoes. I look back, I look to the left, and I look to the right, and I don't see Davey anymore. This fool is legit horizontal, just throwing his body into a crowd of people. I'm like, I'm telling you, the guy's absolutely insane. But but we go to these shows over and over and over. It's the same thing over and over and over. We go there, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I walk in, I kind of case the joint. Rocky will walk in, he'll case the joint. You know what I mean? Luke will go find the spot. You know what I mean? Davey's he disappears. One of our other buddies, Trevor, he disappears, and they're in the pit the whole time. Never leave the pit. Trevor has this like shit-eating grin on his face the whole time, getting beat up the whole time. Like this. Like they only leave to get a drink and go right back in. Like they never leave. And so like I remember at one point when like I don't even remember what the song was, but like, you know what I mean? Like I forget the song. I just remember I look over and Rocky's trying to do one of these, like, oh, he's gonna go. He takes off like goes up like 5 steps, comes right back, like my leg, man, my leg. Like it's always for me. It's always fun, kind of seeing like like it's always fun to kind of seeing how people are. I mean, because everyone wants to go hardcore. Everyone wants to listen to hardcore until it's time to be hardcore. You know what I mean? Like when it's time to get in that pit, that really kind of tells me like, all right, really, where's your hand at? Where's your heart at? Because I'm like,
whitewashed.
Whitewashed.
It was whitewashed.
Well, it's like when I'm at the gym and I'm like talking about a show and then people won't go, but they want to talk about this music all the time. I'm like, you don't fucking like the music. Fuck off.
dude, you're a poser. You're a poser. I mean, at least as far as I'm concerned, and again, that's I'm just calling from personal experience. You can listen to hardcore as much as you want, and that's dope. But unless you go to a show,
you got to support them. You got to pay for it.
Yeah, you got to support them, man. And that's something I do want to talk about real quick before I wrap it up. Talking. I'm sorry on that. My bad, guys. Those are the people that are listening right now. The people that'll watch this and all that stuff, man. JP did bring up a really good point. We got to support these bands, especially now. Especially now. I posted about it a couple times, man. But I was in my story, man, and I really want to just do a real post about it on social media as much as possible. I'm viewing these bands as small. They're small businesses, bro. You know what I mean? And like if they make them, especially these hardcore bands, because they're not these big budget bands, they make the majority of their money from touring. Now that the touring is there's no cash from it. The only way they're going to really make money is going to be from merch sales, because people don't necessarily buy albums anymore. So as much merch as you can buy, I mean, even if it's, you know, like I'm gonna buy a t-shirt here and there. I mean, the t-shirts up enough that, I mean, they're gonna get a little bit of a profit from it. Like if they have a YouTube channel, subscribe to it. If they, I mean, because you can't get some money from that. I mean, whatever way you can support these bands, man. And then the cool thing is they make sick shirts. You know what I mean? So it's not like you wearing something that's like completely uncool. But if you have an opportunity and you do have a favorite band,
and if they make your size,
yeah, man, like here's your chance to support. Here's your chance to support your favorite bands, and at the same time, some of these bands that you don't know that are on this list, you can check them out. You might like their sound. If they're a lesser known band, odds are they have merch, and that merch isn't that expensive. I'll give you an example. Like, even though they're growing, they're getting bigger and bigger, dude, you can still get a Knock Loose t-shirt for $15, which I think is crazy. But Knock Loose sells their merch for $15. A lot of these bands, they're selling their stuff for super cheap. A lot of those emo screamo bands, a lot of these older bands, Terror has some of the dopest merch you'll ever find. You know what I mean? The logo's always gonna say the same. Power Trip, I'm gonna tell you right now because I'm being a hater right now. I gotta say what I say. Power Trip, you know what I mean? Like Power Trip, they're getting their logo. Their logo is getting bit off by like, what's that name of that spot? Whose name was their name?
Death
Before Dishonor. Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah.
They're ripping the Power Trip's freaking logo. Instead of buying the Death Before Dishonor, what's the Power Lift logo? Just buy Power Trip's OG logo. It's way doper anyway. You know what I mean? Like same thing with Wu-Tang. They got Wu-Tang. Like, come on, dog. Like, there's a lot of small businesses out there. I mean, especially, you know what I mean? Like, if there's a any merch that you like, man, go and buy it, dude. I mean, it's not gonna set you back that much. I mean, one t-shirt's not gonna hurt you. Number two, like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's, I mean, even with most of the people that listen are lifters, you know what I mean? Like, A7, even though you might think they're making a lot of cheese, dude, they're still small business. You know what I'm saying? Buy a shirt, Lift Large, same thing. You know what I mean? You might think they're huge businesses, but they're still considered small business. Buy their merch. JP's got his own merch. Buy his merch. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of stuff out there. You know what I mean? Like, buy these people's merch, man. I mean, it's not going to set you back. And two, you have to understand, like, I mean, for the most part, you got to think these bands they're providing a service. This is their service that they're providing. Just like any other small business, well, their service is being interrupted. So how are they going to make cheddar? It's going to be from you. Like, so you say they're your favorite band, but you don't have any of their merch. You say that you're a hardcore fan, but you don't go to a show. Well, you don't have an opportunity to go to a show, but now you have an opportunity to buy. I mean, some people still have CDs, or you can go as far as like, go, Go to Apple,
Vinyls.
go to Spotify, stream their stuff over and over and over. They can get paid from that.
They release
Like,
dope
I don't know,
vinyls.
I mean, go ahead.
They release dope vinyls all the
Yeah,
time.
man. Like,
Hell yeah.
Really cool prints.
I mean, and the cool,
Cool prints, limited prints.
like limited prints. There's, I mean, everyone always does like some cool stuff. I mean, you know, like ABR is they're very good in terms of diversifying how they have different cash flow coming in. They had a beer that they sold over Christmas. You know what I mean? And I mean,
Amazing.
yeah, dude. There's all kind of ways that, you know, all different streams of revenue that these people have coming in. That you can support them by. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know what I mean, like a hardcore band. Just any artist. Like,
Yeah.
the thing that, you know, like, I mean, you read about it a lot, but I mean, my grandpa used to tell me all the time, is like, if, you know, art in whatever form it is a reflection of your society. And with right now, dude, if at this rate that we're going right now, man, like a lot of these bands won't make it, just like a lot of these businesses won't make it. You know what I mean? It won't be from lack of effort. It's going to be from lack of support. You know what I mean?
That's
so
depressing to think about, though.
yeah, so a
Like,
lot of these
after all
things,
this, we could lose music too. You know? Like,
yeah, we can lose music. We can lose. I mean, you got to think. There's so many artists out there that were already starving artists prior to this corona hit that are going to be even more starving. You know what I mean? That, you know, there is no insurance policy. You know what I'm saying, to be in a rock band. There is no, you know what I'm saying, unemployment that you get, you know, to be a graffiti artist. A lot of this art's going to be gone. A lot of these art forms are going to be gone. A lot of these artists, you know what I mean, and, you know, they're going to be cutting their prime, and that's going to suck. You know what I mean? Because this thing's not going away anytime soon. But I mean, people are spending, they're spending dumb money. You know, they're spending check on dumb stuff. I mean, if you got money to spend on dumb stuff, then, you know what I'm saying, drop $20 on a band. It's not gonna hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, no more than, you know. So I don't know. I mean, and I don't mean to soapbox. I'm definitely getting on my freaking stick to your guns right now. But I just feel like we've gone hours talking about all these bands and how it impacted us and everything. And I mean, and we're lucky because we've at least lived in a time where you can, you know, look at this. Paulo tries to join. But we've lived in a time where, I mean, and again, we could use, you know, Paulo. He's an example. He's you know, he's an artist. You know, and he's having to work, and you know, you know, be in a band. I think if we are going to be, you know, fans of music, fans of the arts in its various forms, we have to be, you know, willing to support these artists, man, and, you know, support these small businesses, you know, because like I said, it's not necessarily going to be the big name people that, you know, that go under. It's going to be the smaller name people, you know what I mean, that tend to have the most impact. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's been something that's been kind of bothering me. So I've literally just been going to different band sites and just like, oh, I like that. I'm a copy. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna buy that. You know, and you know, because I would want people to do that for me. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, you know, I try to budget a week. Like, all right, I'm gonna spend $40 a week on, you know, on bands that I like. So I mean, I'm excited to get my freaking Knock Loose stuff, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm styling and profiling. But
I was just talking to someone about this the other day too, and it's like, even like, obviously you can't really go to shows now. Some people don't really like going to shows, and if that's not your thing, like you were saying, there's so many different ways that you can support. You don't have to go to shows, but you got to participate a little bit. You can't just stream shit.
Yeah, man. Like,
you can, but you're kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I just, man, I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm excited that, I mean, that we at least got to this point where we could, you know, talk about as much music we've been able to talk about. Like I said, I'll try to let Paulo come in here real quick and you know, say his piece if he gets in. I don't know where he's at. All right, there he is. Perfect. Paulo, turn on your this dude. Turn on your mic so you can say your piece before we wrap this up, my guy.
Baby right now with that dark screen.
I know, man. This dude is. Let me pull up Paulo's stuff real quick. And he left the meeting. All right, great. Anyway, He's trying to figure it out, I think. Hey, bro, take it off of mute. Cheese and rice.
Oh, the hand's gone now.
But yeah, this guy. He tried to
Dude.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he's back.
Sorry, I'm fucking driving right now.
Oh my god.
That's great, buddy. All right, well then I'll just ask you, man.
What's up, man?
I'll just ask you while you're driving, so you don't have to look at it. You can just talk about it. So I've got Gator Smash, Kids Like Us.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yo, okay, so this was like towards the tail end of like my whole like emo core, like, you know, it's like my whole emo core phase, and like every one of my friends was like transitioning into like, you know, hardcore and all that stuff. And my friend Dan was the bass player in like the deathcore band that I was in at the time, and he played it for me, and I was like, yo, that groove's so hard. Like, who is that? He's like, oh, it's Kids Like Us. And it's just like the nastiest like two-step to like start off the song. And then like the vocals were super raw and the recording was super raw. I mean, this track came out in 2002. I had no idea. And that was probably one of my first experiences with like actual, like, you know, like hardcore, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm not even mad at that. All right, so next up we have House of Straw by Bury Your Dead.
Ooh, yo, that's a banger, dude. Like the boys in Bury Your Dead.
I didn't even read your stuff till now.
Huh?
I hadn't even read your stuff till now.
Oh. Yeah, I was adding it as I was driving like an hour or so ago. It was funny. Yeah, so House of Straw is probably one of my favorite like Bury Your Dead songs. Like when I first came across them, it was the Cover Your Tracks album. It was a lot more like, I guess, hardcore-y. It's not really like hardcore as in like a branch off of like punk or whatever. They were just doing like, you know, two steps and breakdowns and like,
right,
you know. So House of Straw, I think, was like the first song off of The Beauty and the Breakdown that felt like the most put together to me, and it was super heavy.
Right.
And dude, like that song always like knocks me on my ass like every single time I listen to it.
Next up we have Die Pig.
Die Pig.
Die Pig from Straight from Path.
Right, Straight from the Path. Straight from the Path is actually like labeled as American hardcore punk, which is kind of crazy to me because like you listen to their stuff and it's, you know, not as hardcore punk as I think it should be, you know. So but I picked them because their sound is you know, in lieu of like, you know, the hardcore punk like genre. Like his vocals are like super identifiable. It's super like yelly, and you know, the energy of the song is like fantastic. And when I got into them, it was let's see, I think I saw them around like 2014 at South by So What in Dallas. I was like, oh man, these guys are sick. And then I just started like diving into like their, you know, their stuff. And that song that I chose was a little bit like more on the newer album, is like 2015. So I picked that because that song is just like punishing all the way through also. So like the energy on that song is like from start to finish, it's just like punching you right in the face.
So we have Evergreen Terrace with Wolf Biker.
Oh man. So Evergreen Terrace, I found out about them when I was like 17, 18. I saw them at like Sounds of the Underground 2006.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if anyone remembers that festival, it was just as good as Ozfest, I think. So I saw them in 2006. You know, they had like the hardcore like vibes to it, but like they branched off into like more melodic aspects and stuff, which is why I think it's you know, considered like post-hardcore. You know, not only is he a good screamer, but like his singing is so like deep voiced and really, really like, you know, nice and like melodic. So, And like literally like every single one of their albums is like super like it's like one of those albums where you can listen to like front to back like without skipping a beat. Like every single one of them.
They make really good albums.
Hell yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? They make very complete albums.
And like I was saying,
you go to Apple Music, they're like star.
Yeah. Like it's like I was saying earlier, I was just on a hard binge on Evergreen Terrace, and it was awesome. And I just forgot, like I forgot about them until I had to make this playlist, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna listen to all them shits, like all the way through, and I did, and it was awesome.
What? Oh, we have. Oh, okay. You got grimy with it. As I Lay Dying, The Darkest Night.
Had to, man. So just like I touched on last time, As I Lay Dying is a band that I hold like near and dear to my heart. They've been my favorite like metalcore band since I found out about like metalcore. I got to I had the pleasure of touring with them and made friends with them, which is insane because I never thought I'd ever actually like make that connection with them. I thought I'd always be a fan. And Darkest Nights is probably one of my literally my favorite song off of Shadows Are Security. And this is a cool kind of memory too. We were sound checking in Lubbock, Texas, and their drummer fell asleep through sound check, and they needed someone to play drums. Like, did anyone know how to play any of our stuff? And I rose my hand. I was like, I think I know a couple tracks or whatever. They didn't know that. They've been my favorite band forever. I didn't want to be that guy. Just playing it cool. And then, seriously. And then they're like, you sure you know it? I'm like, yeah, dude, I think I know it. And then I counted it off, and I just played it like perfectly all the way through. And they're like, oh shit. I was like, oh yeah, I think I did. I knew it. It sounded like I knew it. Was that good, guys? It was good. Y'all are good. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then I walked off the drum set like all cool. I was like, all right, cool. If you need me, just let me know. I'll be over here.
I'll be the guy. He's like, oh, I'm trying to twirl. He keeps dropping the stick.
Yeah. Nah, I didn't twirl the stick. I should have though, but then they would have known that I actually played drums or whatever. So I was just being like, yeah, I might know how to play drums.
Hey, we were talking earlier, man. Before I let everybody go, we were talking just about how because like you do play, you are in a band, an active band, a current band that actually makes money. Like how is all of this like affecting you? Like, as as an artist, as an actual, like living, breathing, active artist.
It sucks, dude. It really sucks. Like, well, it sucks. It sucked whenever like streaming services came into play. Like Apple Music, Pandora, like Spotify and stuff, because people don't have to go to like record shops and buy physical albums anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can just pay $10 a month, and then they have every single song at their fingertips. So the artist doesn't. The only way artists make money now, I think, is band releases. If you go to the shows, you buy their merch, you pay for a ticket, all this stuff. That's literally how we make like cash. So if you're not touring, then you're shit out of luck, man. That's the reality of it,
Yeah. We were talking earlier about like a lot of this. Because again, a lot of bands, a lot of people's favorite bands. While you're touring, you're making money. You know what I mean? If you're able to tour, obviously you're able to make the money, get the studio time, all that stuff. Put out more content, put out more music, tour again. And it's a dope cycle that happens. You know what I mean? And tours get bigger, shows get bigger, money gets made more fans grow, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a cycle that keeps going over. And here lately, obviously with the whole coronavirus and how it's kind of affected stuff, clearly that affects people's pocketbooks in terms of being able to being able to go on tour. Being able to make anything. So like at this point, the majority, if not damn near all of the money that can be generated that goes towards your favorite band to go toward these bands that people like is going to be from merch sales. Have the fans that you guys have they actually been like buying more merch, like reaching out?
you know, our fans do what they can. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
you know, unless you're essential, then you're not spending any money unless it's like, you know, for bills
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's hard. It's hard. Like my friend Frank Finelli, he started this like thing called For the Nomads, and it's basically like a trying to like raise money for like, you know, people who are in the music industry that, you know, that is literally all they do. Like if they're not touring, then they're not making money. And you know, that's such a sick cause, especially for all of our friends and stuff. But you know, if the fans are out of work too, I mean, it's hard to kind of like reciprocate that stuff. So everyone is in such a such a bind, and it sucks on both ends, man. So however,
without a doubt.
Yeah. So
yeah, dude, that's I mean, and for those people that are listening, Paulo actually he's in a band called Within the Ruins, and they're dope. He's actually pretty dope. So he's speaking from personal experience. He's like that sort of thing. He can play hell of a hard cross buns with a bass. That's crazy, dude. He's
with like
I'm glad you were able to hop on, bro. Like after work, like I said, you know, it was cool when it's making this list and getting this list put up, just because I mean it's hardcore. Hardcore is such a dope and emotional genre, but it was cool to get the perspective of you know what I mean, like at least 3 or 4 people on here that I know absolutely love the genre, and then of course yourself, who you know what I mean, like you know, not only have you been a performer within the genre, but you know what I mean, like you're an active band, not a soft band in any form or fashion. You know what I mean, and you're an active musician, so you know it's cool getting that perspective, man, from somebody that's like literally in the thick of it right now, man. But yeah, dude, I'll shut up and stop messing with people, man. But I'm glad you were able to get on. While you're able to get on, you guys, thank you so much for this. Again, I appreciate it. The next list that we will be making will be the top set. We'll make the top set list. Top set's gonna be nasty.
Top set's gonna be dope.
Let's do it, man.
The top set list is gonna be nasty because you are literally only going to be allowed 3 songs. That's it.
Oh damn!
Damn! 3 songs.
I got that.
Think of them now. It is what it is. But it's only going to be 3 songs. Top set. So be thinking about them, and I think sometime next week we'll have that popping, ready to roll, man. I appreciate you guys.
Hell yeah!
Everybody have a good night.
Go for it.
Be safe going home, man. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Y'all be good, bro.
Take care. See ya.